Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Chris here from Fake Sports News, bringing you guys a quick preview of what to expect going into this week's CDL matches. You guys know I always lock in my pick'ems with you every week, starting on, of course, Thursday evening. I just lock everything in. So if you want a decent idea of what I'm thinking is going to happen, you can just always check these videos, and I'll give you an overview of what to expect. Now, if you want to know what happened last week, of course, I had a pretty good week overall, I guess. I went even, so 5-5 is not bad. Of course, Friday I went perfect. Saturday I had a Chael Sonnen day, which if you guys aren't familiar with MMA, if you're not MMA viewers, a Chael Sonnen day means that you picked everything wrong. Chael Sonnen is a former MMA challenger. He challenged for the title, and when he picks fighters to win the UFC nowadays, they almost always lose. So a lot of people, they bet against Chael Sonnen to win money, and if you bet against me on Saturday, then I had my Chael Sonnen day, you would have won a lot of money there. But obviously, if you bet against me every other day of that weekend, it'd be a rough time. So, yeah, pretty good results last week, 5-5. I will gladly take it. The week before, how did we do? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 and okay, 7-3. I'll take it. So overall, 7, 12, and then 8. So I'm 12-8 overall. That's not bad. All right, so going into this week, we are currently sitting at 12-8, and I'm trying to keep that streak, so I'm not going to troll in any of these. I'm just going to be dead serious, and yeah, let's get right into it. Enough background, right? So kicking things off, we have the London Royal Ravens taking on the Florida Mutineers, and both teams have been looking really good recently, I would say. The Mutineers have had some tough matches lately, so the matches that they lost, I don't really look at those too intensely, saying, oh, this is a sign of Mutineers having poor form lately. They've just played good teams. Their last matchup was the Subliners, I believe, last week. So they've only played good teams in the last couple weeks, and it's helped them to improve. They definitely looked good in the S&D against Subliners. They beat them there. So going up against the London Royal Ravens, who have definitely made clear improvements in game modes like Hardpoint and, of course, Control, it's going to be difficult for the Mutineers. The Ravens have a lot more pressure on the map. In S&D, I do think the Mutineers still walk away with it. And in Control, I'm not sure how they'll fare with Dave Patty. They might also be a better respawn team with Dave Patty in the mix. Maybe that's why they replaced Brack. Maybe it's going to help them to become more comfortable in the respawns. I'm not sure. But as it stands, I think the Mutineers are the better team between these two. I hope this ages well. Every time I go for the Mutineers, they lose. And every time I go against Mutineers, they win. So I don't know. I'm hoping I get it right this time. I'm going to say Game 5 for the Mutineers. I think they win either the Game 3 or the Hardpoint somewhere, and their S&D looks really, really solid, so it's just hard to bet against that. That's why I have them taking it in the 5th game. I think their S&D is what will carry them to a victory, and I think they steal a respawn somewhere. Maybe Dave Patty does his wizard stuff and makes the map 1 disappear in favor of the Mutineers. Who knows? So I'm going to say Mutineers Game 5, and I hope you guys like that Dave Patty wizard reference. So yeah, the next matchup, we will have the New York Subliners taking on the Vegas Legion, and I think this will be a little bit more close than you guys are expecting it to be map by map. Series count, I don't think will be very close. I think it will still be a 3-1 for the Subliners. I do think they are a much better team, and they have a facility. So there's that. The facility cheese, as Donnie Temp would say. The facility cheese is going to come in full effect, I think, and I think that's why the Subliners walk away with this series, 3-1. Not a lot of analysis to offer. Vegas is on an 11-game win streak in S&D. So this one's for the bread, to me. If they beat the Subliners, then I will definitely have to put Vegas as the number 1 team in the game. I know you guys saw in the last video that I posted if you watched it, that I said Faze is the best S&D team in the game, but that's only because they've recently beaten New York, Toronto, and Vegas, who are, to me, the consensus top 4 S&D teams, and then Florida is number 5 in my mind. So with all that being said, I think the Legion take map 2, and then the Subliners sweep the respawns, and I think that's how it goes. In our last matchup of Friday, we have my home team, Atlanta Faze. Wore the jersey today. Didn't wear much last week for the videos. Taking on Atlanta Faze. LA Gorillas, I think they're such a good respawn team, and Phases look so poor in opening hard points. It's just hard to put a lot of faith in Faze when opening hard points. The Gorillas have definitely made some improvements in S&D, so they might steal an S&D and upset. They might definitely steal an S&D here. Their S&D's definitely looked a lot better recently. I still have Faze winning the series. I think they win the series 3-2. I think the Gorillas likely take maps 1 and 4, And if they don't take both hard points, then I think Gorillas take the search. Faze takes the game 3 control because their control has looked really good. Their mid-round adjustments and their mid-game adjustments have been absolutely phenomenal. And then I think they win the game 5. I think Embassy gets through as the game 5 map just because LA Gorillas and Faze, I believe, are both pretty comfortable on that map. Maybe not. But I know Faze is very comfortable on that map because they win it a lot and they pick it a lot in their vetoes. So I think it'll be Embassy map 5, and I think Faze ices up for the bread. So I think it's 3-2 for Faze here, and then that takes us into Saturday. I'm going to try to condense this a little bit more. I feel like it's dragging on a little bit. So I'm going to do more rapid-fire series calls. So we kick things off with the Ultra taking on the Gorillas, and I think it'll be a 3-1 in favor of the Ultra. I think that this is going to be a really interesting test for the LA Gorillas just because they are on a 6-game hardpoint win streak coming into this weekend. Of course, that could fall apart when they play Faze. They might be 6-1. They might be 6-2. You never know. But going into this Toronto Ultra series, I'm going to assume that they're 8-0, and I think the Ultra will be the first team to hand them a loss. Faze's hardpoint has looked very, very inconsistent between matches and, of course, practice. So that's why I don't have a lot of faith in them necessarily taking the hardpoints off of the Gorillas. They just look to be very much in control of the hardpoint game mode. So I think it's a 3-1 for the Ultra. I think they sweep the respawns and take the game 2. I think likely the Gorillas would take maybe map 1, get off to a hot start. They probably won the vetoes in that sense, and they probably got a more comfortable map for them, map 1 if I had to guess. They have a good coaching staff. So that's why I'll say 3-1 in favor of the Ultra. I'm going to guess it's the LA Gorillas map 1 victory, and then Ultra sit forward and reverse sweep the rest of the series. So in our next series, we have Optic Texas take on the Vegas Legion. And this is going to be a really interesting series for the Legion because they're going up against 2 really, really strong S&D teams. Obviously, Optic Texas, they don't have a big sample size for S&D yet with this new roster, so we don't know what their strong maps are, what their weak maps are. That remains to be seen. But as it stands, I do think Optic Texas is just too much pressure right now. They seem like they're too much pressure for the rest of the league. They're a brand new team, and when a new team has players like that at the helm, it's very hard for teams to counter them quickly. I think Vegas probably take map 2, just knowing player tendencies and things like that. But yeah, I think it's an Optic Texas dub, and I think it's a pretty confident dub. I think they sweep the respawns. I just feel like that team with all that slaying potential, unless Vegas plays a very crafty and fundamentally sound game of hardpoint and Optic plays really sloppy, I just don't see this going in their favor. So in our next series, we have the Florida Mutineers taking on the Boston Breach. And I think Breach is just a better team than the Mutineers. So I'll say a 3-1 in favor of the Breach. Their hardpoint has looked really good. Their control has looked very solid. But their S&D has looked very questionable. So I think the Mutineers will likely take the S&D in this series. But I think the Breach sweep the respawns. I just feel like with that composition of Wake, Vivid, Nero, and Methods, it's just hard to say that this team won't have a lot of pressure on the map in the respawns, excuse me. In our last matchup of the day, we of course have the New York Subliners taking on the Seattle Surge. And I think the Surge are just a team who suffer from online woes. I don't think that they are this bad of a team. Obviously, Stage 2 has been really, really rough for them, but I do think that they are a really good team. They wouldn't have made the grand finals at Major 1 if they were a bad team, right? But I just think that something is up with their online performances. I think there's something structural that's just a problem because they get to LAN and they're just back to being one of the better teams. So I don't have faith in them beating the Subliners, who are a very confident team online in the split. I do think Seattle maybe eke out a map somewhere. I just am not too confident on 3-0s nowadays, just with the parity that we have in this league. So I'm going to say 3-1 Subliners. Not sure where Seattle will take a map, but I think that it'll likely be a 3-1 for New York. In our first matchup of Sunday, we of course kick things off with the Surge doing double duty, taking on the Minnesota Rocker. And this is the first time we will be seeing Rocker this weekend, the first and only time. Okay, they played 4 matches. So the Rocker 3-0'd Faze in their second to last match of the week, and then they played, well, let's go back and check. Who did they play for their last matchup last week? LA Gorillas. And they lost 3-2. So coming off a loss against the Gorillas are a very, very good team. It's definitely not what you want to see as a Minnesota fan after they 3-0'd Faze. Definitely not something that gives you a lot of confidence. But On the bright side, they did lose in a Game 5 fashion, so they could have won that series. They just, choked a few things, and Gorillas really just had on Fortress S&D. So that's that. Looking at this series, though, I think Minnesota will take the victory here. I think because both teams are in such a fragile place, and Minnesota is in such a inconsistent place, just in terms of their overall form, I think Surge take a couple maps here, but I think Minnesota still takes the series. I do think that they are the better team in Major 2, and I do think they are a better online COD team, so that's why I have them winning in 5. In our second to last series of the stage, we of course have the Boston Breach taking on the LA Thieves, and we don't have any way of getting a metric on the Thieves' performance before this matchup against the Breach. So if Thieves are still playing with Capsule, if Kenny hasn't recovered, not too sure what the deal is with that. I'll let you guys know on Saturday when I do my preview video, so come back for that if you are curious. I think it'll be a 3-2 for the Boston Breach, regardless of Kenny or Capsule playing. I think the Breach are a better team between these two. The Thieves are not a good online team typically. And I think that it's just going to be a little bit weird having to readjust to putting Kenny back into the fold after him being sick for a week and playing with Capsule and somewhat getting used to playing with him. I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for the Thieves to get back into things. That's why I think the Breach ticket is in a 3-2 series, but I think the Thieves have a very good chance to take it if Kenny comes back more comfortable than before. In our last series of Stage 2, we of course have Optic Texas, the new look Optic Texas, taking on my home team Atlanta Faze. Whew, this is going to be interesting. You guys know last year in Vanguard, Faze was unable to beat Optic, I believe, a single time. Maybe they beat them once. I don't think they beat them once. They beat them one time. So, yeah, I mean, the rivalry continues. I know Faze definitely holds the head-to-head over every iteration of Empire and Optic outside of Vanguard. So, it was like 28-12 between the two teams overall series count. So, it was pretty dominant. They're definitely closing the gap with that 5-0 or 6. It wasn't 6-0. Maybe 6-1 series count over Faze last year. So I think Faze win this series. I feel like with Slasher, Cell, Simp, and Abizi, these guys love playing against really good teams, and they always play up against good teams. So that's why I think they go 2-0 this weekend. I think the LA Gorillas are a really good team, but I think against those top 3 teams like Faze, Ultra, and of course New York Subliners, it's just going to be a little bit difficult to topple them. I think they can do it, but I just think that they need a little bit more time before they can consistently start doing it. Their S&D and their control definitely is something that needs to improve in the matches before I'm more confident saying that they will definitively be top teams. Same thing for the Optic Texas side. This team, obviously, the ceiling is the roof, right? To quote Michael Jordan. But this team has unlimited potential. It's uncapped. The only thing that remains to be seen is whether or not they'll realize that potential, right? So that's why I have Faze winning a 3-2. I just feel like with Optic Texas still figuring out how they want to do pushes and different strategies in S&D, control, hardpoint, etc., it's just going to be hard for them to beat a team like Faze, who has been solidified since the start of the season and practicing ever since, right? So that's why I've been winning 3-2. I think it'll be a very competitive series. I feel like Optic, unless Faze has made the necessary changes, is the better respawn team between the two. I will be giving you guys a better idea of what I'm expecting to see on Saturday before Sunday's matches kick off. So if you want a better idea of what to expect, of course, come back on Saturday and be on the lookout for that on YouTube Shorts. So yeah, I think it'll be a 3-2 for Faze, getting back to it. But I think Faze will likely win the 2 S&Ds and probably the Game 3 control. That's assuming the Optic doesn't just sweep the respawns and win at 3-1. But I do think Faze still a respawn somewhere. If not the map 1 or 4, then definitely the map 3. So yeah, guys, that'll about wrap it up for me. I am going to be bringing you guys a lot more short form content like I have in the last few weeks. So be on the lookout for YouTube Shorts every day, giving you a preview of what to expect going into that day's matches and giving you a recap of what happened during the day before. So yeah, like I said before, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. Share it with a friend if you found this information helpful or just enjoyable. And I'll catch you guys on the next video or on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you want to keep in touch. And yeah, that'll just about wrap it up here. You guys see all the results on screen. If you want to get a quick overview of what I'm expecting, just take a quick pause on the video and yeah, take a screenshot, do whatever you got to do. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow for more coverage of course, tomorrow's action as well as giving you guys a recap of what happened going into Saturday. I guess if you watch this on Friday like you're supposed to. So yeah, catch you guys later in the weekend with more short form content, and be on the lookout for that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, as I said before, and be sure to show some love to the short form stuff. I'm really trying to crank that out more, get you guys more content, get you more of my thoughts and ideas, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So yeah, enjoy all the COD this weekend, guys. Be sure to check out the tier list video that I posted before this one if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Once again, this is Chris from Fake Sports News, and I'm signing off. Peace.